Welcome to the Fantasy Pavilion, your home for fantasy sports. This is the #1 place for all your fantasy content. We do the research, so you don't have to. But wait, so you don't play fantasy? We have you covered with all your F1, IPL, and UCL content. So head on over to the Fantasy Pavilion YouTube page, like, subscribe, stay connected with us. We have all the content you're looking for. Fix that team though. Do better. The last year you were doing shaky. But this year we're doing better. We're doing better this year.
Yes, guys, welcome back to the Fantasy Pavilion, your home for fantasy sport. And of course, it's the F1 Fantasy Show. Another week, another Grand Prix week. We have the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, IMOLA Grand Prix, the Italian Grand Prix. Back again, and we have some successive Grand Prix coming up. So lots of action coming up. Monaco coming up as well, too. So, of course, we just would have had the Miami Grand Prix, which was very exciting. And I'm not here alone, joined by Michael. Michael, welcome, bro.
Evening, bro. What's up?
Now, we can't go any further without doing justice to this wonderful man right here, bro. We have to. Have to. So take it away, Michael. How you felt? What did this win do for you as an F1 fan? And what do you think it does for the whole season, bro?
I think it gives people hope of a fact that, okay, cool, maybe it's not a Max runaway this season. Granted, he did have some damage to the car, so some people are saying that is why, Norris was able to take it. But I'm really happy for Norris. I think he's his second driver to be in his sport for this long without a Grand Prix win, or when it says you do the list or something like that. So I'm really happy it boosts his confidence as a driver, as a young driver especially. So it's a really nice thing to have a new Grand Prix winner, and I think it could give people a sense of longing for the season, that it's not just okay, cool, Max win everything.
Was it a fair window?
Fair win in the sense of he deserved it and earned it.
Yes, I was just asking because I'm hearing different, scenario, different stories, people saying different things, da 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 da. So I just, people like to just asking.
Yeah, everybody like, especially when it is if they are Max fanboy, they will always battle and find ways to explain why that happened and why Max didn't win. But I think McLaren brought updates to the Miami Grand Prix that clearly worked a lot in their favor. We look to see if it was track specific at Imola to see if their performance continues. Maybe if not so much that they're able to win necessarily, just that they're able to stay with the front group. So I think it was earned because, and then it just came down to look at the end of the day, the different safety cars and stuff, strategy and everything works. So, and even Max said it himself in one of the interviews. Somebody tried to discredit Norris's victory, and Max stood up for him and said, "Yo, a win is a win." Essentially. So I think, regardless of it, everybody's glad that Norris took the win, and whoever saying else, they just jealous and vexed that Max didn't win, and Max himself don't care. Like, I saw a meme this weekend. Max is carded to race in the because he's into e-racing, sim racing, and apparently the 24-hour Le Mans is the same weekend as Imola. So some people are like, he probably not going to take part, or he could not take part in IMOLA to do the sim racing and still come and win the championship.
That's still coming. Yeah.
Um, somebody was like, at this point, Max race. At this point, he's sim racing is Max's job, and Formula One is just a hobby because he just into that, which is absolutely crazy. It just shows you, one, his level of confidence, two, his understanding of the dominance of the car that they have. But I mean, at the end of the day, the man enjoying himself, so you can't be vexed.
Yeah, can't be vexed. So let's take a look at the standings. Let's see what's happening. How that obviously it doesn't affect much, right? Max still has a 33-point lead ahead of second.
Yep.
All right. So of course Max is on 136 so far. Sergio Perez 103. So Red Bull dominating the pack so far. Then of course we have Charles Leclerc from Ferrari with 98. And Lando Norris up there from McLaren, 83. Carlos Sainz, 83. Oscar Piastri, 41. George Russell, 37. Fernando Alonso, 33. Lewis Hamilton, 27. Yuki Tsunoda, 14. So that's your top 10. It is early, Michael, in this season. But is it too soon to say, all right, that Max's Max's win again? Max's again?
Is it too early? I want to say no, it's not too early to say it, just because of how good the car is. I mean, but at the end of the day, Formula One is Formula One. Maybe there are things happening in the background that we will not see, that it affects the development of the car, because the car is not going to be static for the rest of the season. Helmut Marko, not Helmut. It's Helmut, not Helmut. What's this man's name? Who leaving Red Bull this year? Ferrari's chief, Adrian Newey. Newey is supposed to leave early next year. Are they going to limit his input on the car? We'll wait to see, because at the end of the day, Adrian is one of the biggest driving forces to Red Bull's success. Right. So maybe with his impending departure, maybe Red Bull is going to say, okay, cool, we don't want you to do too much at work because we don't want you to figure out all the secrets, although he already knows all the secrets, and go with it wherever you're going, or we don't want you working on updates, and that then affects their performance later on in the season. There's a lot of politics being played at Red Bull right now. And then, so you never know, maybe Sergio gets a second win. He starts moving like Nico Rosberg in his last season in F1. To hell with everybody. I go in and think, I don't care what Christian and them say. I go in and fight Max tooth and nail, and I think the sport will love it. Max probably will love it a lot. His father probably wouldn't. So is it too early to say that Max is going to run away with it? No, but there's a lot of things that can change to change that answer to a yes. Max may not take it this season. But I think as of right now, it's solid that it's going to be a Red Bull championship, unless McLaren or Ferrari come with some big upgrade that gives them some sort of an edge and advantage. But as of right now, I don't see it happening.
Right. Big up, Rob. Rob in the chat, F1 Fantasy Hub. Thanks for coming through, bro. Let us know how your season going so far, Rob, and how are you happy with the season so far? I mean, forget Max, but the other drivers who's standing out for you, let us know in the comment section. Thanks for coming through. Guys, if you're watching, like, share, subscribe. Show some love to F1 Fantasy Hub as well, too. Thanks very much for watching, guys. So, of course, this is what we have so far. This is what we have to work with so far in terms of who are the drivers that are doing the best right now and really, I think so far, Michael, it's safe to say that we have a consistent bunch this time around. To me, especially still learning F1 and still getting to know F1. There was a lot, the past few Grand Prix or seasons that I've been following since we started the channel, there's been a lot of interchanging with the middle, right? And some of the guys that I'm accustomed to, look how far I have to scroll along to look for Ocon. Sometimes I'm accustomed being in the middle. Bottas, Gasly, they have not been it this season, but this season, Piastri, right? Even Russell dropped down from what he has been doing. Alonso has dropped him from what he has been doing, but the top 10, the guys that have been doing solid so far, have been very consistent. And I think it's all down because yes, we like to say these guys are great drivers, but we're seeing now that for some reason, if you're not getting a good handle of the car as well,
Yeah.
but look what Norris and Piastri are doing with the McLaren. So I mean, there's
Yeah, so
something.
funny enough, I had the argument with somebody today about the importance or the dependence of the machinery in Formula One. How much it sets people apart. And at the end of the day, it comes down to if it is you build a good car, you're going to give your drivers the edge. And I think that's able to be seen with Max Sunday. And this is by no means to discredit Max as a driver. He's one of the best drivers in the sport in this era. But I think all of the drivers on the grid, or most of them, because there are some who I believe do not, they all have potential to be champions. So let's say Perez, Charles, Sainz, Norris, George, Fernando, Ocon to some extent, Piastri. These are all guys who, given the right car, can win a championship one day in the future, or at least win races on a consistent basis.
Right.
I would say, like I watched a video sometime this week, how Stroll is a paid driver. And honestly, that's one of the most frustrating things to me, in that there's so many talented drivers in F2 or just waiting around hoping to get a seat. That is frustrating. Now you have guys, okay, cool, because Daddy has a lot of money. I get a seat in Formula One, which is frustrating, but then at the end of the day, that's how the world works. Money talks, BS walks. But yeah, I think to say that it's just come down to pure skill, yes, definitely for sure. But the cars play a massive part of it. And the thing about F1 is that it always has a certain kind of fluidity, in the sense that they change the rules or they change the formula of the Formula One car. The first year is a toss-up. Everybody now catching a balance, so it's competitive. And then after that, you have that one team that perfects the formula, and they just run with dominance. And you've seen it in the past. So we could go all the way back to, let's say, the 2010s, when it is they changed the formula and they introduced the hybrid. Well, not the hybrid. They had, I think that was the last year for the V10s or the V8s or whatever. And Red Bull got the formula right. And that's where Sebastian Vettel was able to win his 4 titles back to back with Red Bull. Then in 2013, they changed the formula again. 2013, they changed the formula. Red Bull held on to their dominance, and then Mercedes took it. And from 2014 to 2020, they had a handle on every championship. Then 2021 came around. They made some changes and whatever. It was very competitive between Max and Lewis, and Max took it. And then boom, changes. They changed the formula completely in 2022, went to the ground effects car, and Red Bull ran away with it. And why did Red Bull run away with it? Because of Adrian Newey. He was in F1 as a designer when its ground effects was first introduced. So designing the car, he already had an understanding of the concept. Whereas a lot of the other teams, sure, they have immense technology to predict and to simulate the performance of a car on track, but that understanding of, okay, cool, if you do this to the car, it's going to perform like this. I think that is the edge that Adrian provided to Red Bull in designing their new era car, and it's just going to be like that. So again, why so many people are looking forward to the 2026 rule change is because that's the next big rule changer. If it is you watch at what Ferrari's doing, they are building a monster team, and they're not building it for 2025. Sure, they're buying up everybody and they're going to join the team from 2025, but their focus is not to win the championship in 2025. They're building, getting everybody in. 2025 will be our teaching year. You figure out your position, you understand the dynamics. Lewis come in, learn the team, get accustomed to the car, get a relationship with the people in Maranello. You realize it's a force you don't really like it because he's a black man. We go deal with that. And we figure things out. So that when the rules change in 2026, Ferrari could emerge as the dominant team. The same thing. in the 2000s when it is Schumacher was at Ferrari is because they changed the rules and Ferrari got it right. So I think a lot of people was doubting Ferrari when it is they brought in Fred Vasseur as the as the as the man in charge of Ferrari or the F1 team at least. I doubted him to some extent because I mean he came from Sauber, that wasn't doing anything. So, but he's able or he has been making an impact, and he's building such a dream squad at Ferrari that it's senile to not see their potential in winning races and being a world champion team again, because it's been years. The last time Ferrari won a championship was 2007 with Kimi Räikkönen. So they are desperate to get their hands on that trophy, both constructors and drivers. So they are spending millions, billions of dollars to build our dream team to make that happen.
For sure. Let me see. Rob said 5.7 KOR season on track so far. Really enjoying the battle between Ferrari and McLaren. Yeah, the midfield has been lit so far. I think they will challenge Red Bull more consistently with these round of upgrades. So
I agree.
Let's see. I hope so. But I was I'm glad for Lando. I'm very, 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 very happy. And it's just good for the sport that, someone else gets not just a podium, but gets the top spot for the for that GP. So of course we have IMOLA coming up. And it's your favorite time. You want I guess everyone else around the world's favorite time of the year, where we go into some of the European
the
tracks, so that the timing won't be 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. Right? It will be more of a godly hour, as we like to say. So let me pull up.
And if the full correct name of the race is Formula One MSC Cruises Grand Premio del Made in Italy del Emilia Romagna 2024. Like, I don't understand where Ole get his name from, because what the actual hell?
Now, I was trying to do all that. I was like, no, I'll just stick to the Emilia part. I like the Emilia part there.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what is usually known as. So why all this rubbish?
Cruises,
I mean,
but the MSC Cruises. See, so I mean, from what I think that's all sponsors.
It is
obviously
sponsors.
we know
they
MSC
spend the money for their name to be there.
We know premium. So it's like, all right, let's just put everybody here done. So everybody happy. You can't get vexed. Because you leave me out, boy. I'll pull my sponsorship. All right. Sorry. So
it's unfortunate because geez. But you see, some tracks will never do that. You'll never hear the USB Silverstone Grand Prix. No. You'll never hear the Rolex Monaco Grand Prix.
Yeah.
You just will never, but
bro,
I guess money talks.
Yeah, it's hilarious. No, clearly some big boy from corporate said, yo, you have to find a way to make this work. I do not care what you do. This has to work. All right. So, of course, before we get into the fantasy aspect, the Emilia, right? I'll leave it there, or the Imola, right? The Imola Italian Grand Prix, right? Simple, right? So, of course, the Italian Grand Prix come this weekend. Honestly, I want to blink, Michael, and let just be Monaco or rainy Monaco. I can't wait for the Monaco GP, but I'll be patient. Let's not rush. But I love Monaco because I love Miami and Monaco. Miami was great, didn't disappoint. I know people don't like Miami, but Monaco, Monaco. This is where the boys and the men get separated. The sky is open, it rains. That roundabout thing there that people can't. Oh my word, I can't wait.
Facts, big facts.
And hopefully, Charles could get over the hoodoo. Because his bedroom was over the track, but for some reason, home advantage has not ever played to his. But we'll get to that. I'm gonna rush it. So, Michael, preview us now. What can we expect for the IMOLA Grand Prix? What does this track have in store for us? What are the DRS zones, the overtaking potential? What to look for? And who might dominate which drivers might be really good picks for the fantasy for this particular track?
Okay, so I think to talk about IMOLA, one of the biggest things to ever talk about IMOLA is it's a very infamous track. For several reasons, it's one of the Formula One tracks to actually have fatalities at it.
Yes, of course.
Notably being Ayrton Senna,
Yes, of course.
RIP. And I mean, he is the icon for lots of Formula One drivers, most notably Lewis. If anybody has ever watched Ayrton driving, he was an absolute talent and a phenom. And it's sad that he's not here with us today because I would love to hear what it is he had to say, or what he would have had to say about the current era of Formula One drivers. But yeah, so it's a really infamous track. And so Lewis has the fastest lap. So clearly it's a track that he loves. To speak, I mean, I will always say the drivers with a lot of experience will always excel at these tracks if given the right car. So definitely Lewis, Alonso, if Valtteri had a good car, Valtteri.
Right.
Max for sure, Sergio, I'll even chuck Hulkenberg up there.
Okay.
If given the right car. If it is Haas could get the house in order, maybe he could surprise us with a top 10 finish. He has done it already for the season. So I always say that experience plays a part. By the end of the day, the younger drivers, they would run this track endlessly in the simulator to always get familiar and just be that one step or to be able to put themselves or hold a candle to the experienced guys, so to speak. But it's a beautiful track. It's a really quick track. So let's take a lap around it and we start at turn 1.
Right, turn 1.
Which is barely a turn.
Yeah.
So that flat out from the start finish.
Mm-hmm.
And they go straight into turn 2, brake, turn in the left hander into 3. You might see some, because that's the DRS zone, you will see guys trying to dive bomb into turn 2 to try and make the turn or go around the outside. After they go 3, 4, nice little straightaway, you might see them concertinaing up behind each other to try and get the next session so as to be able to stay close and follow, because aside from the DRS zone on the main straight, there are no other DRS zones. So you go into 5, 6, those are really a quick turn. 7 is fairly long left-hander, not too much. 8 is barely a bend. You would not see them lifting there at all. They will just go flat out through. Brake hard into 9, swing through for 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 is a bend, but you wouldn't really see them braking. It will just more a lift and coast through the corner and then back on the power. Heavy braking into 14, 15. And then flat out to 16, which will also be flat out. Heavy braking into 17, 18. All the way across the line into 17. What you will find happening is guys will try to overtake in 14, or they will hang back and stay really close to get that DRS detection.
Right.
To get that DRS on the main street, because it will be crucial. The fact that there's only one DRS zone, it is crucial to get the detection. You'll see guys playing games maybe I remember it would have been 2021 where Lewis and Max clashed at, I think it was Bahrain or one of those races, because they were both trying to slow down before the DRS detection zone. So maybe you might see guys playing that game here simply because there's only one DRS zone and they just want that little bit extra. But it's a really enjoyable track. It is, as I said, an infamous track. It will be 63 laps long, so I will see people doing one stop, but some may push for the 2 stop.
Right.
Definitely, if we get a safety car, definitely will take advantage of that. Maybe a VSC. We will see who wins it. But it should be a really enjoyable and fun race.
Yeah, 63 laps. Phew. So you know, there's a high potential for something to happen. But what about my boy Yuki? Boy, you think Yuki could do something? I find Yuki has been solid recently. What do you think about Yuki?
I mean, at the end of the day, it is their team's home race at the end of the day, as much as they're Red Bull. Their team is based in Italy, so definitely they will have a little bit more support than the other teams. in the sense that, okay, cool, their factory is there. So God forbid, this is their track to bring an update at, because, I mean, the factory is nearby. You could get everything that you need on one, whereas the other teams is whatever they could fit on in the containers to bring across. I think Yuki himself, he's developing as a driver. He still has a lot of quote unquote maturing to do, in my opinion, as it relates to his anger management and that kind of thing. But I think he's proving himself well, because I think when we check the standings, he's in 10th.
Yes, 10.
Which is impressive, because he's beating his teammate, who
Yes.
is a Grand Prix winner. So whether that is, I mean, Danny Rick complained about the chassis decon after they changed the chassis. He felt a bit of improvement and stuff, but at the end of the day, points is what matters. So Yuki's doing well. Do I see him? I could see him finishing in the top 10 in this race, in all honesty. But it's gonna be tough to finish. And at the end of the day, it comes down to the car that Red Bull give him for the weekend. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not too sure who's bringing updates to this race, if any. But now is where you'll start to see teams starting to play with the formula, see what updates they can bring to give them an edge. Some teams may wait, based on budget, to wait a little later into the season. Who I think is really disappointing this season is Aston Martin.
Yeah.
In that they started off last year on such a high, fighting Red Bull. At a point in time, everybody was saying, oh my God, Aston Martin might take it this time ever. And they're just so far behind. Alonso is, I think, in 8th or 9th in the standings.
Yes, ninth. Yeah.
9th. And, well, Stroll is not even in the top 10, which is, I mean, expected. But, I mean, I could go on and on about Stroll, but I must stop.
Yeah. You know, I will defend him, but I understand. I can't defend him in certain instances, but yeah.
No, like,
You know,
I'll find the video and send it to you, because it's frustrating. Because the performance, if it is, we look at performance-wise, if he was at Red Bull, he'd have been gone long time.
Sorry. So Alonso is 8. Alonso is
8, yeah.
Yes.
And if we scroll down, where is Stroll?
Stroll. Ooh, we had a Stroll to find Stroll. That's now. Right, Stroll's 11th, man.
Yeah, so he's not too far. He's not too far out of it. I mean, and at the end of the day, Alonso is the better driver of the two.
Correct. I would argue there.
Yeah, Alonso is the better driver of the two. So that, I guess, shows the performance of the Aston this year, which is pretty crazy to think that they were really fighting, and they finished, what, I think 5th in the standings last year. So for them not to be up there right now is like, what is going on? What happened? But at the end of the day, Aston Martin has been playing the copy game for the past few years. They had the infamous pink Mercedes, then they had the green Red Bull. So clearly they aren't focused on building a car, but copying as much of another team's car as they can. And it's only so much, or it's only for so long that will work, because you're not going to be able to copy everything. You're not going to know the nitty-gritties and the true technicalities of the design to get it to work. And I mean, this proves just that, because the same thing happened when it is they copied the Mercedes. They were good one season, and the next season they fell right off. And then I guess we've seen it now, whereby they copied the Red Bull. They were really good last year. When it was time for updates, they fell down because they just did not know how to update the car properly. And now they're back to square one, essentially. So hopefully, with the money that Lance's father has spent, that Lawrence Stroll has spent, we will start to see improvements from them, because at the end of the day, everybody wants a more competitive Formula One. Even I, as a Mercedes fan, during our domination, it was still fun and interesting to see Ferrari with Sebastian Vettel fighting Lewis. Like, you know, it actually was, wow. Like, there's this guy on Instagram called, I think, Floz or something like that, FLOZ, whereby he used to recap seasons into a movie. He would just take all the footage from Formula One and compile it into this like 1 hour long movie, and you will see the entire season. You will see just how much of a battle it was. It wasn't Drive to Survive. It wasn't like a reality show or anything. It was just clips to piece together what the season was like, the highs, the lows, and the battle. I think you can't do that in Formula One now, simply because of how dominant Red Bull is, and people who say, "Oh, yeah, Mercedes fan and Mercedes was dominant." Mercedes was dominant in the second half of the season most times. Like that whole, I think 2017 to 2020. Sure, we'd start off the season with a better competition. We develop the car, and then by the end of the season, yeah, we winning everything.
Pull away. Yeah.
And that's just how the sport goes. As I said, it comes down to who understands the concept the best and can develop the car the best. And then, interestingly enough, Ferrari was competitive all those years, and then F1 found that they were cheating by dumping more fuel and that kind of thing, and nothing really came about that. But after they discovered that and they made the changes, Ferrari fell off. So now you really want to find out, then yeah, Mercedes really was just that dominant. And in order to keep a Ferrari, had to cheat. If they weren't cheating, maybe, but at the end of the day, there was some level of competition. And at the very least, there was competition with any team. Most times you would see Lewis fighting with Bottas. I mean, there were the occasions, but it would usually be in the later half of the season whereby team models will come into play and that kind of thing. But Bottas was able to fight. Like, we'll always remember, I believe it was 2018. He won the first Grand Prix of the season at Australia, and he gave us the information, the famous statement, "To whom it may concern." So I think for us, we can just hope that 2025, 2026 just proves to be a bit more entertaining.
Now, speaking of hope, speaking of prayer, I hope you're saying your prayers, because do you remember what happened last season with this race?
What exactly?
You can't remember the Noah type, the biblical flooding that took place. We had no IMOLA last season, huh?
Yeah, correct.
We had no IMOLA. And so
they had to cancel it.
So I must talk about the weather. I think that's something I'll try to have as a segment.
I mean, I would love to have a wet race, in all honesty. Not a flood out race, but definitely a wet race.
Let's have a race. Once there's a race, don't cancel the race.
Fair.
Rain was terrible to us last season. Remember Japan, right? Had us out till 3 in the morning, and then this race got canceled completely. But so far, now there is potential for rain to interrupt this weekend. All right, because of course last season we knew there was heavy flooding, severe flooding, but hopefully nothing of biblical proportions. So far, Friday and Saturday will be dry. Perfect. Right, but there's a chance of rain on Sunday with just slight showers passing through. So
which will be good, huh? If it is, we start with a dry race and it gets wet, that will throw everything into disarray, and that is what will make everything interesting.
Interesting, yep. And Lance Stroll will win, right? But yeah, that is what that will make it.
I ain't too sure that one.
Right, but don't forget
that tractor that he driving.
Bro, oh my lord. What's the chance before we get into fantasy boy? Look, so I think Mercedes and Ferrari are doing some slight updates this weekend for the race. Right now, any chance of seeing Lewis win at least one this year? Boy, what he have to do? You think he's trying? You think he's going to push himself? He's going to wait for the move to Ferrari, get to the better vehicle? What's going on there, bro?
I know for a fact that he's frustrated.
Right.
He's definitely very frustrated. So where his mind and head is at, I'm not too sure. He is definitely extremely excited to go to Ferrari. He is giggling. He is smiling, like somebody asked him, would he love the chance to work with Adrian? And he was just like, yeah, of course. If I had to make a list, that's one of the guys I want to work with. And he was like, so, and the interviewer asked him, so is it going to happen? And he was just like, we have to wait and see. And he's just so excited to move to Ferrari, but he's not the type to just, okay, cool, well, I go in, so I'm going to just drive this car, collect my paycheck, and go home. He's still going to fight. He's still going to try to make wins. I think should Mercedes give him a car, he will put it on the podium in first place. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the car. And we see even George struggling, and they supposedly building the car around him. So it just shows just how bad the car is.
Yes.
And as a Mercedes fan, I'll say it's difficult to watch the season, but at the end of the day, that's Formula One. There's highs and lows, And
Correct.
one thing I will never try to do is be a bandwagonist. I will stay loyal, drag through the mud. So let's go through those hard times. Um, when Lewis goes to Ferrari, I mean, so that's the thing with Formula One, or I mean with sports in general, because people could change teams. Just like in football, you could be an Mbappe fan and you love off um where he was,
Right.
Paris.
PSG. Yeah.
You love off PSG because Mbappe there, Mbappe leaving, and you're gonna drop PSG. You're gonna still support PSG, but also support Real Madrid when it is he reaches there. Um, so same way, I could support Lewis at Ferrari, but also
Yeah.
still cheer
Yeah.
on Mercedes,
Of course.
provided
Of course.
they actually give a car. I mean, I still
Yeah.
want Lewis to win, but yeah. Um, so as it relates to his performance, I think it comes down. Give him the car and he will put it on the podium. We saw what he can do if the car works. Give in the sprint weekend.
In sprint. Yes. Yes.
So once the car is performing, he will make it work. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the car. So I think Lewis will continue fighting. Who I think too we have to watch is Sainz.
Yes.
Sainz is
Yes.
still very hungry to prove himself. I watched a video on what his options are. I mean, I don't think him going to Red Bull is the best option. It's a likelihood, it's a possibility, but I think his best bet would be to go to Audi because it would be
Ooh,
something
right.
a bit more long term. I think what the issue with the Audi seat is one, how competitive they will be. Because he'll essentially be taking a step back. Um, because if it is you look at the team now, they have no performance. And that could be some level of a sign of what the car in 2026 will be. So he could just hope that they get it right. But I think his best bet for him to become a champion eventually would be to go to Audi because he'll be able to cement himself there as the number one driver.
Correct.
For sure, because the only person they have is who Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg is not going to be competition like that for him. So I think that's the best move for him. Yes, he's taking a step back, but in the long term, it could pay off provided that Audi provides the right car.
Imagine a wild future, Michael. A wild future. So Sainz at Audi. And his partner is Zane. Ooh.
Maloney. That would be epic.
Come now. And Audi
That
started
would
to
be
build up
epic.
and Audi started
No,
to do what Ferrari
it
doing
would
and
be a
get all the best
beautiful
engineers.
thing to finally see somebody from the Caribbean reach the Formula One. I think for me personally, I have dreams of racing. Just to see a non-normal flag in motorsport would be an amazing thing. Whether it's in Formula One, I think it's a great thing. I know the Bayesian government is very supportive of him. They're very proud of him.
Of course.
And on his suit, he wraps Bushy Park whole day
Yeah,
every day. So if it
now
is
going
you
to
don't
Bushy
know
Park.
about thing, you will see this guy on the podium, see Bushy Park on his overalls, and be like, "Where's that?"
What is that?
And the country's getting that big up. So I think it's really important. I know locally we have Frankie Buttram's grandson, Zach. I know he competes out in the States and thing every now and then. But I think personally, for me in Trinidad, motorsports is a depressing thing. In that we're just too small-minded about motorsports in the Caribbean, in Trinidad specifically, because there's so much potential. There's so many talented drivers in the country, but we do not see sport as any true avenue to success or status on the world map like other countries do. Because look at Barbados and what Zane is doing. He's bringing revenue to the country through building interest in motorsport. And I think the government and other private NGOs and organizations in Trinidad and Tobago fail to see the importance of sport, because if it is we take local football, and I might be getting a little off topic of what Formula One is, but you don't see the importance of it. But if it is, we did invest in our football. Look, in 2006, the world found out about Trinidad and Tobago simply because we qualified for the World Cup and we reached to the World Cup and we competed in the World Cup. And that's a massive thing. Other Caribbean countries can't do that, but should they have, they will know. People know about Jamaica because they made it to the World Cup. They went into bobsledding because who's on here? So I think in Trinidad, like Wallafield, there's so much land in Wallafield to develop. If it is the government and whoever only land came together, let's develop a proper track. I've always said, if you develop a world-class track, you can approach not necessarily Formula One, but different racing.
Yeah, the cut, something.
WEC, invite them to come and race, whether you give them incentives like free accommodation or whatever incentives the government can offer, to whether you say no taxes and duties on the importation of the equipment and whatever, and the race car, and saying no taxes on duties when it is the cargo land, so that you all could come and race here, because that will, one, bring in revenue into the country in a sense of tourism. You're going to expose people to our culture. The climate in the Caribbean is so unique in comparison to where they usually race. It's going to give drivers an opportunity to develop themselves, because the main time they get to experience our type of weather is when it is they go to Miami. And it's still not the same, so to speak. So give them the opportunity to race in the Caribbean, and they will love it, and they will come back, because they would have gotten to see a different part of the world, experience a new culture, and thing. But I feel like we think too small-minded. If it is we build a world-class track, we approach thing, or we just develop our local talents, and they could then go out into the world. I mean, with the right funding, it's going to be expensive, but I mean, there are clearly people in the country who have the money to do it.
Correct.
You put the people out there, and hopefully over time, but we too small-minded, and we don't see that bigger vision in the future of what it can mean for the country in a long-term sense. But maybe one day somebody will listen and hear the cry and do something about it.
That's something we should definitely have an episode on, like what I think I did it. I do it with you for kicks when we in Island Bay sometimes, and I tell you, well, right, we could do the Formula One Savannah and come down, but we could actually, we must do it. We must take an episode and literally map out a track but I don't see why not. But big up, as you mentioned, Zane, big up Zane doing his thing, and I see Zane getting a call up very soon to a big team.
Yeah, it's highly likely that he will be called into Formula One in the near future, because he's on track to win F2 this year.
Come on,
he's performing top tier. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've been following very intense this year. All right, so of course, F1 Fantasy. Let's take a look. We didn't get to do one for the Miami GP, but let's see what we could chop and change here for the Italian. So based on what Michael was saying in the preview of the circuit, in the circuit information section, the experienced guys might be the best ones to stick with. And so far, I think we have all the guys that you mentioned, well, the guys that you would have been alluding to.
Yeah.
And of course, shout out to Albon. I'm extending contract, staying with Williams. So I guess he really has faith in them and thinks that they're best for his career right now. So we'll see.
I'm not too sure if it's fate or he just don't have no other options. Because
And
if you have a seat in Formula One and they say, well, we want you to think whether it's back mark or not, I don't know what options.
Yeah, hush them out and take it, yes? All
exactly.
Right. So what you'll do to this team, bro? What you're thinking? So in targeting and gearing up for Imola, what do we need to who do you want to change the constructor? Are we happy with the constructors? Change out someone.
I would love to see what we could do with the constructors. I think RB Shaw, the Yuki is doing well with it. But I feel like maybe but McLaren is so expensive. But definitely, if it is, we could maybe swap the Ferrari from McLaren, or see if it is we take out both constructors, get McLaren, and see then who we could afford. I think the driver lineup is pretty good. Maybe the one person I would change is Albon for somebody like maybe Alonso.
Okay.
Who we know will be in the top 10 a bit more. Who's more likely to be in the top 10. But other than that, I think it's a solid team. So let's see if we can play with the constructors and Albon and see what we could get.
All right. We could only do one and one, right? But we can get rid of the Ferrari, most expensive. We get rid of Albon, and let's see what happens there. So 1.7 freed up. So let's tackle the constructor first. You want to see McLaren. Oof, okay, so if we bring in McLaren, let's see. We will be left with 7.5. That's where the
You
inflation.
can just select only affordable.
Yeah, it's just
I think it will limit it to your budget.
Right, boom, right. Ha! Great.
Right. Which is two horrible options.
Horrible. No, we laughing, eh? We laughing, but they have not been like not even inklings. They're not even showing glimmers. Right? At least Yuki's showing something, you know. At
I mean,
least
the fact that the fact that Audi is gonna be taking over stake next year, and they didn't even consider, or they show no confidence in the current drivers there. It tells you what they think of Valtteri and Guan Yu Zhou.
yeah, yeah.
Guan Yu
Off the
Zhou to
back,
some extent is a paid driver. He's there because of what he's doing for the sport in terms of bringing that Chinese market
of
to the
course.
sport. Same way Logan is there as to get that American market.
American. Yeah,
They're
yeah,
pushing into the American market. And then Valtteri, I think, since leaving Mercedes is whatever. He peaked there and he just here for the paycheck. Because like some
yeah,
of the commercials he does, the haircuts, he just seems or gives very unserious about the sport.
yeah.
So I think those are as it might sound offensive. At the end of the day, they are amazing drivers. You go up against them, any normal person, and you will be embarrassed tenfold. But there's no with it.
Yeah.
I mean, the only
But
other
there's
option
no
we have is to take out if you take out Max, you see you free up a lot of your
well,
budgets.
no, well, if we take out Lewis, well, I don't know if you want to do that.
I mean, I'm open to it because if we take out Lewis, who do we have?
So if we take out the Ferrari, take out Lewis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, 42. So now we
Right,
can
we could
say
definitely get him McLaren,
McLaren, right? I could
and we
filter
still have
now,
18.6.
right? Boom. Oh, sorry, drivers, right? And we could get, all right, that's not terrible.
I would say Fernando, and that would be a pretty solid team because
Yeah,
for sure McLaren are gonna get points. You're
yeah,
gonna get the 2 points from Oscar and Norris. The
yes,
RB, a little shaky with the points there.
yeah.
But definitely, Max is gonna pull points. Alonso more than likely will pull points.
Well,
The rest
especially
of drivers
overtaking
is
point.
the rest of drivers is where it's really a toss up as to what could happen. The nice thing though with Yuki, that's where the overtaking points might come into play.
Yeah, yeah,
Same for Alonso, and then at the end of the day, you have that buffer / safety net that is Max.
yeah, yeah. Okay, well, let's fix it up. Continue. Yes, yes, yes. No minuses. Good to go. We confirming the changes. Yes. Bam. Right. So this is what it's looking like. This is just what my other teams look like on the side here. Big up Stroll. Need you, Stroll, to do something. Come on, Stroll. I will tinker with these as we go along. But so far,
I mean, I know
that's
you
what
love Stroll, but let's be honest. If he was in any other team, he would have been replaced by now.
long time.
The
Long
only
time.
reason he's in Formula One is because his daddy only team.
Yeah. No, but I mean, Formula One is not football. I respect Formula One. Formula One is not. I no respect, no disrespect to these disciplines I'm calling here, but Formula One is not, tennis or these other. You have to be physically and mentally able to do this
Correct.
thing. I think another episode I think we should do because I guess we're trying to encourage people to get into F1 and we're trying. This show is not just about fantasy, but we want people to be aware of the sport, right?
Yeah.
I think what we need to do too, once we can't get sued, is have clips or at least pictures of the training regimes that these guys go through. It
I
is
mean, there are
not
some public videos that we can use. Like
yes,
there's infamous video of I think is Sergio doing
Perez. It's Perez self. Yep.
in there. Yeah.
Perez self. Perez
I saw.
self.
Funny enough, I think it was this week. Sainz celebrated his birthday or last weekend or sometime recently. Sainz celebrated his birthday, and they brought him a cake and everything. And Fred tried to push his head into the cake, and somebody made the joke. He really tried to push the neck of a Formula One driver. And it's like people don't understand. These men, their neck alone could lift their body weight.
Yeah, come
And
on.
the average person, they put too heavy a book bag on their back and they're hurting them. So
Go
it's
on.
like
Yeah.
the physical ability of these men, down to Stroll, they have my utmost respect.
Yeah.
I think the one moment I respected Stroll most is when he had the biking accident
Injury.
and he damaged his wrist and he was able to still jump in the car. And he did fairly well that weekend.
Yes,
Granted,
he
he
did
was in a
good.
lot of pain.
Pain, correct.
But to me, that's the highest heights he's reached in his career. And it's still not to say, okay, cool, he reached on our podium yet.
Yeah. It's coming. Don't worry, it's coming. Right. Speaking of podium, before as we wrapping up slowly, podium predictions. I'll go first. So okay, we back. So Imola didn't have it last season, but Max won it in 2022. Max should be back on, barring anything unforeseen, Michael.
Barring anything
Right?
unforeseen.
Barring anything unforeseen. I'll try and be normal this time. So I'll put Max. Max won. I'm gonna put Max, Sainz, Norris. I think that's my podium this weekend. Max, Sainz, Norris.
Max Sainz Norris.
Max in that order. Max, Sainz, Norris. That's my podium. What's your podium predictions?
I actually like it a lot. I would actually put Norris in 2 though.
Okay.
I will tip Leclerc over Sainz this rounds.
All right.
I like how we both excluded Sergio. I know you're a fighter for Sergio, but
I love Sergio, but yeah,
I think that's a fair podium. It will be interesting to see how it plays out, but I think definitely Norris coming off of that high of Miami, he's going to be pushing. I just hope that with the experience and maturity that he's garnered over the years, that he won't push too much and overdrive the car and able to translate or use the momentum of the victory to propel him to really fight and move up the standings.
Now, I have a friend of mine from Barbados. He wanted to send me his prediction. So this is his predictions, right? I'm saying it verbatim. Max first, Leclerc. So this is from Craig, my friend Craig from Barbados, right? So Max first, Leclerc second, Piastri third, Sainz fourth, Perez fifth. He says Lando will DNF.
Wow.
Mercedes, Aston, RB, Haas battle for the scraps. Williams, Alpine, and Sabre battle for last. He said Lando is my guy, but after they cheated for him to win or for Max not to win, in brackets, the race gods will take it out on him this race. And that's his 2 cents. So that's what BJ friend Craig, he wanted to have his 2 cents for the show.
What you need to do, clip that part alone, and if it comes through, replay it and say you heard it.
Yeah, replay it. I'll have it saved and clip. Guys, those who are watching, tell us your podium comments below. Tell us if you agree with our team tinkering and what you'll do differently. Let us know your OR. Let us know where you're watching us from. Keep the interactions going. Help us to stay on the algorithms radar. We want to keep making content for you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Of course, IMOLA Grand Prix this weekend is same weekend as the last day of FPL. So at least I have something to do when football stops. Whew. But yes, and of course, we'll be chilling out a lot more content. Now to have a little more time when FPL stops. We'll try to do at least 2 episodes a week, a preview and a review as well, or reaction, because we had a lot of great results so far. Let's see what can happen. Can Lando make it a two-peat? Can he do it back to back? Do a Drake? That'll be interesting. Or will Max come right back as normal and dominate as he has been so far? Can't wait to see the action continue. Michael, any last words before we roll out of here?
I would just say continue to follow the page, get into Formula One more than just the races. It's a really interesting sport. The background, the front of it, the politics, everything. And just delve into it and look at it for more than what it is. And just really enjoy it and enjoy the race.
Yeah. Can't say anything from there. Of course, may your double driver finish in the top 10. May all 5 of your drivers finish top 10 of the constructors. We hope that you have a great race weekend. I hope that and please pray together collectively, whatever you believe in, whatever deity you believe in, it does not rain, or just a little bit,
Just
right?
a
Just
little
a
bit.
little bit,
Just a little bit.
right? And barring anything
Like
unforeseen,
halfway
we
through
have
the
a
race.
smooth race. Yeah, right? Maybe what, lap 30? Lap
Yeah,
32?
that will be a nice time for entering.
You started hearing them coming up. There's some cloud cover
Or
coming up.
better yet, probably around lap 25 when people either now go on in the pits and change tires.
Boy.
And as they come back out, so you can imagine, let's say somebody starts on the medium.
Scramble.
Is going to carry you to, let's say, lap 25. A couple guys might start on the soft. So by lap 16, they had to change them tires. They went in the pits lap 16, changed tires, come back out on hards to push to the end or to hope for something, and then 2 laps later, rain bust down or rain to the fall. Then the men who start in the mediums, they get a quote-unquote free pit stop because they're running the pits, change the inters, run around the track, or, wait yet, everybody start on mediums or medium hard, and then lap 10, rain bust down. Switch to inters. Then next thing you know, rain fall for 5 laps, tracks are dry up, everybody had to duck back. That would be absolute chaos and madness, and I'd love it.
Right, so of course,
that's how I can see Lewis winning a race.
Lewis would win.
That's how Lewis would win.
Yeah,
if it is rainfall 1 and Mercedes get the strategy right.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully. But let's see what they can do. So, of course, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to check your teams. Don't forget to save your teams. By at least Friday, you must have your teams in order. Do a little research. Check out all the websites. Go on the F1 website. All the information is there. I like to use, there's a site I like to use, Michael, called Racing News 365. That's what I use. I think that's a really solid website. They have a lot of great information, all the latest. So if you're looking for websites to help you with your tinkering, that's a great site. Thanks, everyone.
Go straight to Formula One. They give the reviews, the pre-show. As much as it's not something you watch, it has a lot of information. Who brings updates, things to expect. So also the F1 pre-show on a Tuesday is really helpful, and maybe even some of the driver interviews. Some of the media asks really good questions that gives you insight into the driver's mentality for the weekend, what they feel like they're going to perform, and so there's a lot of places to get information from.
Yeah, even what helps me a lot too, so if the last practice before the qualifying, I think that helps because the analysis there helps a lot, especially track analysis, not necessarily drivers, but and especially my boy Sam. When Sam starts to just unleash, right?
Yeah.
One of the greatest.
Sam is the man to listen to.
Gosh, boy, right? I once changed my whole team. I used some chip. I used some last minute, the chip I could use where they could wait for qualifying and change it.
Yeah.
I used that chip because of him. Changed my whole team out. This was last season. And got some real good points just because of what he said. So
yeah, Sam Collins is a boss.
And there's another guy too. I just don't know the names too well, but
the Indian guy?
No, it's one of the other the guys from London South, but I'll get his name for you. He sometimes, and he always mentions F1 Fantasy, and he sometimes mentions some key things. It's real subtle, but it's key. And I was like, and I would just go and tinker. So sometimes that qualifier, or not the qualifier, sorry, but that last practice before the qualifier really, really helps. But yeah, guys, we wish you all the best. Hope you get. Well, I know it's really green arrows in F1, but we hope that you gain some rank, and happy picking. And of course, stay tuned for all the other content. FPL is tomorrow as well, our last preview show. So check that out. We will try to have a nice ball on that and try to predict the best teams, of course, available. And then, of course, Cricket World Cup is coming up. We have some great content in store for that as well. So stay tuned to the Fantasy Pavilion, your home for fantasy sports. Happy picking and take care.